Hey y'all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Carrie, and here on Caring with Carrie, we talk all things kids. I am currently 26 weeks pregnant, and so this channel is kind of split between my pregnancy updates and updates with my nanny kids, which I do have an update for that coming soon. It's very exciting. If you follow me over on Instagram, which is Caring with Carrie, over there, you may already know what that is. So today I'm going to talk about why we had to switch midwives and what the red flags were. I'm really honestly ready to kind of be over this drama. I feel like that's really what it's become, and the only reason that I am saying something about it on here is because I know people have had questions, and sometimes people are just curious, but also to know that if you're in a situation that's anything similar to mine, how important it is that you do something about it. And that you're not alone. I had to switch midwives when I was pretty much 22 weeks pregnant, which is over halfway through the pregnancy, and that was a really hard choice to make, but it's one that I believe God wanted us to make, and it's one that I think He's blessing so far. So I just want to get everything out there and then move on and move past it, and then it will also like kind of answer some questions about, like I've said, my birth is going to be a certain way and it's going to be different now, so this will just kind of clear the air for everything. First things first, I just want to point out, I don't believe my midwife is a bad person. I think that she has good intentions. She has been in the business for 20 years, I believe 20 years. So she has, kind of gotten a rhythm of how she does things. And we live in a very small town. In fact, our town is so small that in one part of it there happen to be a ton of Amish people. When your clientele is mostly Amish, there are things like communication or maybe even perhaps some legal things that don't get done as professionally as you would with a clientele that was not so much Amish. With the Amish, there's like a lot that you can kind of pull the wool over their eyes on just because they don't have access to information. That being said, I think that really plays a part into the old midwife's personality, and so there was a clash there because my personality is very much things have to be done the right way. Like, I don't respect you and I don't respect that system or that process. I really and truly don't have actual road rage, but it does drive me crazy when people don't follow the rules of the road. If somebody like passes you in a no passing zone, or they go through a red light, or they don't read the signs, or speeding, whatever it is, like that bothers me. And I am prefacing with that because there are some things I'm going to talk about today where I think that's the case, is things just weren't done how they're supposed to be done, and that bothers me more than like anything. And because that bothers me, I think that played a part into how I felt about this person. When you are going into birth, your body is going to recognize whether you are tense or anxious or fearful or relaxed. If somebody walks in the room during labor that you're not comfortable with, your body will feel that. It will go into fight or flight mode. It will close down. It can stop your labor sometimes. It could potentially put Charlotte in a dangerous situation where she would possibly even be stuck in the birth canal because my body just kind of goes off and says I don't feel safe birthing in this place or in this area or around this person or whatever. So because of that is why we made the decision to switch. That is the only reason. Because if it had been just personality clash between her and I, fine. But the fact that like my body could react to that personality clash and it could affect my baby, that was a problem. The first red flag that we had was the very first time that we went in to get blood work. So I told her, I said, hey, I know that I've been having some problems with my thyroid and hormones ever since I donated an egg. I think that I am going to be low in progesterone, and I'm nervous about that because low progesterone is like, I don't know, close, if it's not the number one cause, it's like close to the number one cause of early miscarriages is having low progesterone. So I asked her, once I got the blood work done, I was like, hey, when am I gonna get the results back? She said, you'll get them back within a day. Like, you'll get them back tomorrow. 2 weeks 2 weeks went by and I didn't get the results until then, even though I asked about it and asked about it and asked about it, because obviously I was worried. I was very concerned in the beginning. I didn't want to get too excited, all of that. So it was hard to know that she knew I was in that position of fear. Having worked with LabCorp quite a bit in my egg donation, there are some tests that, yes, do take a while to come back, but in all of the blood tests that I've gotten since then, where I got the results straight from LabCorp, I did get them like within 24 hours of taking the test, and usually like 12 hours even. I am actually not sure if it was on her part or not. It was a battle to get those results, and she literally just had to like send us pictures of them, because unfortunately the way that they ran the blood work is they would have it sent directly to them instead of to us. That is foreshadowing there for something else. That was the first red flag. I was like, how has this woman been in this business for 20 years and messes up between like knowing results coming a day after and 2 weeks after? And in that time, you know, I wasn't exactly sure, being new to pregnancy and all that comes with it. Like, I didn't know what the time frame was supposed to be, but everything I was looking up online was like 4 to 5 days max, and so that was really stressful for me and probably not good for sweet Charlotte during that time. The second red flag. So starting in January, I started having symptoms of like maybe a UTI or yeast infection or BV. Didn't know which one, and I was kind of like guessing at which one I would treat or try to treat myself through just like natural methods. And I tried anything and everything, and I was pretty sure that yeast was like the main cause of issue. I believe in January I actually went to an OBGYN. So this is before I got pregnant, and they gave me antibiotic that just didn't work. It made it flare up more. I was told by that OBGYN that I just had BV, I didn't have yeast, and that, you know, that's what it was. Come to find out, antibiotics layer up yeast, and so I wasn't giving anything for the yeast, and I don't know if it actually did anything for the BV or not. So fast forward to I become pregnant, and I was super surprised. I was able to become pregnant because of this infection. Actually, I tell the midwife right off the bat that, hey, I'm having these symptoms, I'm going through this pain, I've been dealing with this pain for this long, this is what's been done about it so far, I don't know what else to do, yada yada. She kept like pushing it off or telling me it's because I had too much sugar in my diet, or I needed to take probiotics, or give me probiotic tampons, or whatever. Like, she just didn't want to deal with it at all. And I finally said enough is enough and went to an urgent care where they diagnosed me with a triple infection, and I talked about it here, went into more detail with that. But the point is, she did not take care of me like a midwife should, and I shouldn't have had to go through 3 months of pain without her doing anything about it and then get it taken care of by an urgent care. Another red flag. The situation came up again where I thought I might have the triple infection coming back. She took a culture and she was like, there's leukocytes, which means you have a UTI. She didn't ask me what my symptoms were or anything like that. I didn't think I had a UTI because I didn't have any UTI symptoms. However, you know, I trust her for some reason at this point. I still trusted her. I went ahead and took the antibiotics that she gave me, and you know, again, it just made it worse. It didn't help. Like, I knew that the antibiotics were just flaring up my yeast. I just knew it. So I went in again and I was like, hey, those antibiotics, not helping at all. I think I have yeast and it's flaring up my yeast. She was like, well, you still have leukocytes in your urine, so we're probably just gonna have to put you on the strongest antibiotic we can find. Finally, I was like, is there a way where I can get tested for BV? And she was like, well, there's a doctor here. So there's a doctor's office where this midwife practices, so it's like in the same building but separate businesses. The doctor there, she took a look at me, and I told him, I said, a month or two ago I got tested for the whole STD thing and everything came back negative. I don't know why she charged us $287 to run that same test again. But that's another thing, is this could have been avoided if our midwife had done her job. But this doctor was like, yeah, I can tell you have yeast. Leukocytes are also present when there's yeast, not just UTI. Doesn't sound like you have UTI, so we're not going to put you on antibiotics, but here's what we'll do, we'll put you on something for the yeast. Dad took care of it, and ever since then I've been okay. So that was another red flag, is she wasn't really paying attention to me as her patient and was just kind of guessing. I don't know. Again, how do you work with pregnant women for so long yet don't know this stuff, right? So then another red flag was misdiagnosing. So actually around this same time, the same day, I spent 4 hours at this midwife's office / doctor's office because of all this going on. She came in with test results and was like, from your liver panel, it looks like you're having kidney failure. It looks like you are going to have gestational diabetes. So you need to get on a no sugar, no carb diet. And if you have a carb, you need to go take a walk. I was like, okay. So this was just like thrown on me, right? Then I was like confused. I was like, okay, so you said I could have a carb if I walk, but like then you also said no carbs. And she's like, you need to like make sure that you come down slowly off of carbs so your body doesn't go into shock over it. And I'm like, yeah, that would be a nice thing to learn. That I had to ask her this like several hours after. So again, I just like don't know why that wasn't communicated. So then she told me like I needed to be on medication right away for Hashimoto's, which I didn't have. I didn't end up having it. Even the doctor there was like, you have antibodies that are looking like being created up against your thyroid, but you don't actually have Hashimoto's yet. It's like a precursor. I was like, okay. Now even there, the line is still blurry. I went to an OBGYN who told me my numbers were normal. I don't know that she saw the antibody test though. Like I'm confused about that part. So I actually don't know. I think probably I have something messed up with my hormones and my thyroid, because ever since I did the egg donation I have. So I already knew that. Anyways, just telling me I needed to be on medication right away for something I didn't, you know, that's yikes, especially because baby, you know, gets affected by anything and everything that I take. That was a red flag. Saying if I didn't do this diet I was gonna have preeclampsia, you know, and that my kidney was going into failure. All those things, I talked about it in this video. All those things were misdiagnosed. OBGYN dismissed them all, saying, hey, your numbers are normal for a pregnant woman. Your levels are completely normal. Again, I'm thinking 20 years, you don't know normal pregnancy levels. Okay, so this was like one of the final red flags. She withheld medical records from me. So my own medical records, which I should have access to, she kept almost all of them from me until we said we're leaving. And then even then she was kind of, I don't want to say petty, but it seemed like that because it kept getting delayed by very like silly things or excuses or whatever. We finally got mailed the lab results after I had already contacted LabCorp and said this woman is withholding my medical record, and they merged everything over to me. Only then, look at my belly, sorry, squirrel. Only then did she give us the records and mail them to us after LabCorp already had. And I noticed that she wrote some notes on some of these things that she had mailed us. Like, she's gonna have to do this diet if she wants to be considered for home birth. Her levels are looking unsafe for home birth. Like, this kind of stuff. Knowing that these records were going to go to a new midwife, she wrote them on the lab results that she sent to us. So now I have to sit down with my new midwife and make sure they be good for everything. I'm pretty sure that she was just kind of maybe upset. I don't know. She had never told me ever like, oh, you're at risk for not being eligible for home birth, ever. She never told me that. The doula said something to me about that after we went to go see the OBGYN. The doula is like a whole nother story. It's funny, like you hire out a doula for yourself, and this doula unfortunately acted like she was hired out by our old midwife. That was a problem. So those are all the red flags for the midwife. That's pretty much what went down. We are still trying to work with her on the billing. Legally, she is supposed to provide an HFAC form, I believe it's called, and she's giving us a lot of trouble about getting that form for us, even though federal regulations require her to. We are still working on that, but we're ready to be done with that situation. So we're just at this point trusting God to take care of it. Not that we haven't trusted God this whole time, but just we're like done pushing for it. We're gonna let whatever happens with it. We're gonna be responsible on our end. We're going to keep our insurance informed. So at this point, like, it's just off of our hands. With the new midwife, so this is actually kind of a cool story. I was going through all sorts of different midwives. Whenever I realized we had to switch midwives, I basically was trying to find a place that would not charge us up front, because our insurance really likes for the provider to bill them and then our insurance can bill us, right? You can do it the other way around, but it's a lot more of a hassle. They have to have the right form, yada yada. So a lot of these midwife businesses do it where they give you a receipt and you submit it to your insurance for reimbursement. Well, our insurance is actually technically not called insurance. It's a medical sharing industry or whatever. It's a Christian health share called Medishare. So essentially, like, we share costs of things with people in your group, and it's not like regular insurance. It was really hard finding a place that did billing straight to our insurance. So that was one thing that made it hard to find another midwife. Another thing was a lot of midwives were booked up for November already, because, you know, I'm kind of contacting people late at this point in the game. And then the other midwives were like, you're out of my range, sorry. Because we kind of live in the middle of nowhere, right? Well, I contacted this one person who was listed as a midwife somewhere, and turned out she actually was just a doula, but she's training to be a midwife. And she said, well, I'm just a doula. I can hook you up with midwife. She's down in Huntsville, and she could do your birth if you were to go to this house, a birthing house, like an hour away from where you live. So I was like, okay. At first I had already kind of been told about this birthing house. I was trying to find somebody that could do the birth at home for me. The more we talked to this doula, the more we realized we liked her. And then the situation happened with our old doula where she said she was going to be able to transfer to other midwives, but some things came up with that as well. Again, it's drama. I don't want to go into it. We just didn't feel safe with her. And she kind of lied to us a couple times. With that situation, we just said, okay, bye. We're closing the door on that chapter of our lives. That season of our lives is over. Let's, you know, find somebody new. So this doula actually... she had her first baby with our old midwife, and she was like, yeah, kind of get why you won't be using her, because for my second and third births I did not do that, and I actually birthed at this house that you're going to be birthing in. It really was like a God thing that she was able to help us find somebody that would be willing to deliver our baby, and everything was totally a God thing. So we do have to birth at the birthing house, but the thing is, this is not like a birthing center, so there's not like staff or anything. Basically, it's kind of like an Airbnb or Verbo. The couple who owns it rent it out specifically for births, and then they offer to do cleanup and all that. It's amazing. They have like a huge jacuzzi 4-person tub. Pay a little bit extra for it, and I've heard like mixed things about using jacuzzi during birth, so I'm just gonna probably use a birthing tub that either the doula or the midwife bring up to the house. But it's just like an empty house with a couple bedrooms. It's really cozy. You know what? It's the closest thing to birthing at home that I can get, so I'm excited about that. And you pay like a flat rate, and like you can be there for as long as you need to be there, you know, obviously not excessively, but just like during your labor, and you know, probably within 24 hours postpartum as well if you absolutely needed to. I imagine we're gonna want to go home pretty early if we can. Having that freedom and all of this, like, yeah, it's gonna not be cool to be in labor and drive an hour away, because I've heard contractions in the car are not fun. And there's a really delicate balance there, because if you start going somewhere, like a lot of times women who are in early labor will start going to the hospital, and because of that change their body is like fight or flight and stop the early labor. So there's like a delicate balance, because I want to go early enough where it's not, you know, extremely painful the whole ride there, but also don't go so early that my contractions stop. So that's what we're praying for, is that God will just work it out perfectly in his timing and however it works. So yeah, we have to meet the midwife there. We have our first consultation consultation with the midwife actually next week, next Monday. So hopefully we will get a lot more information after that. I think I'm gonna do a video on what questions to ask your midwife, because these are things that I Google, but also kind of things like now that I'm interviewing my second midwife, second time around, I kind of know what to ask and how to ask it. So I might do a video like that to help you out if you are just starting out in your pregnancy and you're looking to get a midwife. So yeah, I am really excited about this birth. I know that God is going to take care of us. I will just say, so far, I've really seen God's hand through every stage in this pregnancy, and I have seen him really working financially as well. In our family, we've had some things come up that made us wonder if we were going to be able to get everything we needed for Charlotte. Just some things that, made us doubt ourselves, and we didn't always make the best decisions with money. We are trying to do somewhat Dave Ramsey's plan of budgeting and all of that and being wise with our money. We haven't been like the best with it. We were concerned when some things came up, and of course this situation, how all of that was going to work out. But so far we've really seen God's hand in taking care of us financially, so that's been a real huge blessing. That's pretty much it. That is the whole story of why we had to switch midwives, and I really hope it helped you out if you're in a similar situation. And just know that you can get out if you don't feel safe or if you feel uncomfortable. There are other options, and you can reach out to the community around you and reach out to me if you want. I would be happy to help in any way possible. Search your area and help you out with finding a midwife. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't yet subscribed, go down, hit that subscribe button, do it for baby Charlotte. Like this video, share it with your friends, all the things, and I'll see you guys next video.